I made a video like a year or two ago about how enlightenment isn't real. Now, I think I was just like, I was listening to a lot of people and I was listening to their perspective, and I kind of got sidetracked from like, what is enlightenment? Like, I was listening to them because I was like, okay, well, enlightenment is this thing that it's like, enlightenment, like the word itself has this baggage behind it now. Just like me saying, I was on the journey to become a modern day shaman. The word shaman has baggage. The word God has baggage. When I say, like, I believe in God, like other psychedelic people prefer to say they believe in the universe, or like they'll change the name because the word God has so much attached to it from religion, but it doesn't have to be attached to it. That's why I say, like, God now instead of whatever. That's why I say, no, I went on the journey to become a modern day shaman, and now that's what I've become. So, like, it's this thing where I wasn't on the journey to to get enlightenment, but I do. The more I research it, the more I came across this thing that's like levels of consciousness. Okay, I wish I could have the thing like the chart, but it's like a chart, and like enlightenment is at the top of that chart. So like it's more of a state of being and a state of mind than this godly thing that humans think it is. Like they think it's some, if I said to someone I'm enlightened, you know, it sounds ego. It sounds like an egotistical thing. Just like when I was saying I'm on the journey to become a modern day shaman, people would kind of judge me or look at me a certain way and just kind of be like, well, you can't be a shaman because of this and this. Because in their mind, they've attached shaman to the Native Americans. And, like, it's no disrespect to the Native Americans. It's just like we forget about the Asians. The fact that shamanism originally was created from the Asians, and the Asians and Native Americans share an ancestor, which is why it's like both of these cultures have this thing in their culture. But so many people, like, you'll ever notice that, like, I seen this video about how, like, there was these people and they had, I think it's called a sombrero, the Mexican hat, whatever, and they had the thing, and they went up to people, and like they went up to, like, some just normal Americans or like normal whatever, and asked them, is this okay for this person to wear? And this person that was wearing it was white, and they all said no, 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 that's cultural appropriation, and they said all of this. But then when they asked the Mexican, they loved it. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but we get too attached to this thing. Because when you hear the words of enlightenment, when you hear the word shaman, when you hear the word God, when you hear the words, some of these words, you attach meaning to the word that's not really there. Because when the word was created, it meant something. But then we attach a bunch of things to it because Buddha was not the first one to become enlightened. Like, and it's no disrespect to like Jesus, but Jesus was not the first one to become crucified. Like, this is, we attach certain things, certain symbols, certain words. Like Hitler used the swastika, but really it was a spiritual symbol before he fucked up that meaning. And this is what happens, where it's like somebody used the meaning for bad and then they fucked it up. So now, if you were some spiritual person and you truly understood the meaning of the swastika and the meaning of it, like before Hitler fucked it up, you would be like, no, that's a this and this. But yet, if you were seen wearing that, symbol, or seen with that symbol on your clothes or anything, people are going to look at you funny. And they kind of judge before they understand. And, you know, it's just this thing where I would I thought enlightenment wasn't real. Just like at one point in the journey, right? I've been doing this for like 10 years. Meaning I've been on my spiritual shamanic journey for 10 years. So I don't know, 3 years into it, maybe 4 years into it, there's videos that I've made where I would say I'm going to stop using the word modern shaman, that I'm going to stop using that term, and I'm just on this spiritual journey, but I'm no longer on the journey to become a modern shaman. But that's because I allowed other people's thing in me, when it's I know, you know yourself is what I'm saying. You know you, especially if you're on a spiritual journey, you know you better than anyone else. And if it wasn't for me on going on the journey to become a modern day shaman, I wouldn't have been able to become the man I am today, but also I wouldn't have used psychedelics in the first place, right? So I've never used psychedelics in a party setting. I've never used psychedelics at a festival, and it's no disrespect to people that do, but it's just the whole time, my intention the whole time was to become a modern day shaman. So it was this thing. And there's so many points where I didn't really understand what I meant by saying that. I didn't understand, because I'm just on this journey. And it's like this weird intuition feeling. And when I researched it, right, the shamans talk about the calling, that they get the calling. They get called from the plants. They get called from Mother Ayahuasca. They get called from, these things. It's like this thing is calling them, and then they answer the call, and that's what starts their journey. And people attach culture to things, but any normal human, because there's nothing special about me, and no disrespect, but there was nothing special about Buddha or Jesus or any other spiritual person who has walked this earth. Because if they've walked this earth, then they're no different than you. They're no different. There's nothing special. There's just choices and decisions and intention, right? These people had intention. They had a certain intention. I had a certain intention with why I was using psychedelics, which is why I got what I got out of them, which is why I was able to grow. Because the intention was a certain thing. So because it's a spiritual journey, obviously the other cultures created this thing called Enlightenment. There's other cultures that created shamanism. Other cultures followed different things. Hinduism, yoga, right? Yoga was originally a spiritual practice. It wasn't something you just do to work out or to stretch. But it's this thing where if, with the modern shaman thing, right? So if we applied that same thing to everything, yoga wouldn't even exist in America. It would only be for the people that created it. The Roman Catholic Church, imagine if you had to be from Rome to be a part of the Roman Catholic Church. I just think that there's this thing. We're spirits inside of a body. We're souls inside of a body. And a soul or a spirit can go on a spiritual journey, because life itself is a spiritual journey, but it becomes more like a spiritual journey when you intentionally want it to be, right? Life gets better when lived with intention, because it gets more like the intention. So whatever your intention is, life will get more like that. But if you're not intentional with your life, life will be what other people think life is, or what other, because society has this thing that's going on that's on top of life. But it's like, I made a video about that there was a world before the modern world was created. Meaning, like, I don't know, the spiritual thing, the enlightenment thing, the real yoga thing, the shaman thing, the voodoo thing. And voodoo is not bad. It's just like another form of shamanism, just a different word, because different cultures create different traditions and different words and different things, but they're trying to get to a similar thing, enlightenment, right? Or a certain state of mind, a certain feeling, a certain state of being, a certain state of understanding, right? And like, the more you go on the journey, the more you understand yourself. And the more you understand yourself, the more you understand others. Because there's nothing special about you. So then, therefore, there's nothing special about others. So, therefore, we all have the same capabilities, but we're not the same person, so we don't want the same things out of life. Different intention brings different things. So, like, if you live your life with a spiritual intention, you do have the possibility to reach enlightenment, and not enlightenment of what these modern humans think. The real enlightenment. The real thing. Like, because you're not going to get enlightenment and then start floating while you're meditating, right? Because that's in your head. That's from the movies. That's from other people's ideas. But if the real Buddha could speak to you, he would tell you you can reach enlightenment too, right? Like, I don't know. I just think people forget that. They allow their ego to get ideas from other people's egos, and then it's like they make you feel like you're being ego for wanting to better yourself in whatever way, right? You say you want to find enlightenment, or you say you want to get in shape. If all of your friends are not in shape, they're going to try to make you feel some type of way for getting in shape. Like, there's people that tell me I need to slow down. Like, why don't you relax, bro? Why don't you? And it's like, because I don't want to, right? I want to do this thing. So, I don't know. I just think you can reach the same spiritual states that every other spiritual person has reached, because every other spiritual person, you're a spiritual person. We are all a spiritual person, because we're all a spirit that is a person. And don't allow other people's ideas interfere with what is, because a word will be created like enlightenment, and there's a definition for it, but instead of following the definition, humans follow what they think is right, or what they think they know. They think they know enlightenment better than the definition, or better than Buddha, or better than whatever. They think they know these things better because, I don't know. It's usually never the person who actually created the thing that's stopping you from doing it. It's usually the other people that don't really know much about it, that think they know about it. They think they know what enlightenment is. They think they know what a shaman is. They think they know what a voodoo practitioner is. They think they know what these things are. But voodoo gets such a bad rap that it's so, like, crazy. But the modern idea of thoughts create reality, that is voodoo. Like, that is a form of voodoo. Using your mind to alter the physical reality. Because it's like some giant game of some sort that we can alter. We're like co-creators of this universe. So if you become more intentional and understand the law of attraction, understand the law of magnetism, and understand these things, well, those are things that basically come from voodoo. Like, ideas that trickle down into the modern world because they were kind of real. Like, it's not like the shamans and the voodoo practitioners and these spiritual people were just crazy. They were doing something that actually works. The yoga people, the spiritual people, the Buddha people, the meditation, all this shit actually works But it's like people are just not actually doing it because they think it's some old thing that only great spiritual people can do, but it's something they can do if they're called to do it. If you're called to do the real yoga thing and become a yogi master, if you're called to become a real modern shaman, then do it. Like, because it's what you're being called to do. If you truly believe, you're like, oh, I want to, find a way to reach enlightenment. If that's truly a thought that you had, and the only thing stopping you from trying to do that thing is other people's opinions of it, then fuck their opinion, bro. Follow your soul, because that's the key. Following the soul, because that's how you'll become the person you were meant to be. You'll be on your journey. Buddha was not meant to go drink ayahuasca with the shamans. Buddha was meant to do what he did on his journey. And if he listened to other people, he wouldn't have been able to, because he was supposed to be a prince, right? Or he was supposed to be a king, right? He was supposed to do this thing, right? But no, he went and did the opposite thing. But if a human did that today, we would call him a deadbeat dad and say that, you're a bum for leaving your family and your children just to sit next to a tree and find, what'd you say, enlightenment? It sounds bad if a modern human tried to do that. But this is the problem. Even if it sounds bad, even if it looks bad, even if it looks a certain way, sometimes it's the only way.